2025 wasn't just another year, it was a mission. Enable, empower, and be present. Today, over 40 million users use Mexi, placing us among the top platforms in futures and spot markets, and the world noticed. Recognition followed across regions and industries. Our Zero Fees initiative became a standard, one that put real savings back in users' hands. User protection sits at our core, backed by dedicated insurance and guardian funds. Today, we've supported 16 projects through our $300 million ecosystem fund. And with the launch of the Mexi Foundation, we began investing in the next generation of builders and communities. Across more than 150 events in over 40 cities, our global exposure grew. Every booth, every handshake, all delivered on the same promise of security, zero fees, and trust. Behind every number are the people who made it possible. We didn't just connect markets, we connected people. The stage is now set, from zero fees to infinite opportunities.
And we are live. Thanks everyone for joining on this special day. Happy International Women's Day. We have three amazing women here today. We would love to hear a whole bunch of information from them. Hopefully you guys can take something really important away. And men definitely too. You definitely heard something about women from these amazing women. Let's do like a quick self-introduction. You guys know me already. So let's start with Anna. Could you just kindly introduce yourself, please?
Yes, absolutely. So good afternoon, good evening for everyone. So I'm Anna. I have been working for the last 15 years at the intersection of capital and tech. I'm the founder of the Women Investment Network, and I'm the co-founder of Mint Layer. At Mint Layer for the last, since 2019, we've been building institutional grade infrastructure on layer 2 and layer 3 for Bitcoin. So yeah, here we are, and happy International Women's Day for everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Anna. And next we have Rime. Could you kindly introduce yourselves, please?
Hi. Rime was a really good guess, but it's pronounced Reem, like dream.
Got it. Thank you, Reem.
All good, all good. So Reem, I'm an artist who accidentally built the biggest investor network in the space. Started out Fractal. I'm the founder of Fractal. That started out as a marketing agency, and then we started running investor events to get founders funded so we can get their marketing budgets. And then it grew into a bigger investor network. And today we help not only founders find funding, but also VCs, help to connect them with family offices, institutional LPs, ultra high net worth individuals. And the journey continues.
Thank you very much, Reem. Absolutely. And last but not least, Maria. Thank you very much for making time today. Kindly introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, hello, ladies. Well, hello, all the guests. First of all, thank you so much for having me, and happy International Women's Day. I'm so happy to see you today. Ladies, I'm so happy you are safe, you are smiling, and yeah, let's celebrate spring. My name is Maria Anderson. I'm in crypto space for more than 6 years now. I'm a crypto content creator, educator, investor, trader, whatever you want to call me. So yeah, I create content about crypto mostly on Instagram, YouTube, X, everywhere, and I'm happy to talk to you guys today.
You guys are already inspiring me. I think you guys do a lot more than I do in my life already. All right, wonderful. I got a bunch of questions here from the community. Let's just jump right in, and let's just try and see if we can cover as much ground as possible within the time allowed. All right, so first question here, I'm just going to read it out for you, Guy. Here we go. Is navigating the TradFi versus Web3 fundamentally different as women, or are the challenges and opportunities the same? Anyone want to take a first stab at this?
Well, I don't know. I think, yeah, guys.
All right, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think it's the same. You come into a new space, you have to learn the fundamentals. I was in TradFi, I was in kind of commercial real estate and creative financing before, and it was the same. It was a steep learning curve. Maybe this one is a little bit more technical, but also there are a lot of careers in the Web3 space that don't necessarily need you to dive that deep into like consensus mechanisms necessarily or anything like that. But yeah, I think it's any new space requires a lot of new knowledge, and this one might be feel a little bit more heavy in terms of learning because it changes so fast because it's a younger industry. But I think just going into any new industry, you have a lot of knowledge to intake that has to happen for your learning curve. And I don't know, that was my experience. But maybe Anna and
I think
you have
I think it's a bit different. I would say it's highly different. Perhaps the dynamics of gender might be a little bit similar, but I would say it's different in the sense that, for example, when you look at traditional finance and what are the barriers that existed, I would say that historically, right, trad finance has been controlled by institutions, networks, legacy structures, right? And that can take decades until you get through. However, in Web3, because it's a newer kind of structure and it's a newer field, right? I would say in theory, it's a lot more merit-based than it is in traditional finance, right? But with that comes a little bit what she was saying, right? Where you have to be willing to learn and you have to have the plasticity to and flexibility to incorporate a lot more of knowledge, right? The other thing that I think it's very important is one of the key differences that I find is the speed. The speed things move at is completely different. Whereas you can be trying to fundraise in traditional finance that can take from 6 to 12 months. When we talk about the Web3 space, is a complete different dynamic. The way of fundraising is completely different. The way of the assets being managed is completely different. And the risk tolerance, the risk appetite is absolutely different when we look one thing comparing to the other. When we look at how many women are in the room, oh, well, boy, there we are still on a very similar situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we are here to complain. We are here to mostly highlight what are the opportunities and to invite more women to join us, right?
Sorry, I think I read the question wrong. I think as I read TradFi versus Web3 fundamentals. And then when you started explaining, Anna, I'm like, oh, wait, makes way more sense with the question. But yeah, definitely, I think the opportunities are better because it's not an established space. So we get to create a lot of the opportunities and we don't have to fight against an existing infrastructure.
Like
100%.
I assume we're all
Yeah.
in different places, right? So like different culture, different society, different speed, different way of doing things. But hey, what do I know? Maria, how about your thoughts?
You know, Anna always explains so deeply and so detailed. So I have nothing to add here. Thank you, Anna. I know
Kinda hard
you're
to
a
follow
pro
up.
in this type of questions. I know, you're a pro.
Absolutely wonderful. Let's move on to the next community question. Here we go. Let me just pull it up here. Okay, how do you think women in Web3 are often represented? And do you think that is a fair representation?
Do you want me guys to answer? Well, I
You
can
go.
answer. I never complain about anything, and especially I'm not here to complain about how we as women are represented in Web3 and crypto space, because I do think this space is so friendly, and no matter who you are, woman, man, cat, dog, whoever you want to be, this space, because we have Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, different memes, and everyone is so excited about them. So no matter who you are, how you represent yourself, it all depends on how you feel, how you represent yourself, how how you treat other people, by the way, also, not only in crypto space, in any space. So it all depends on you. It all starts with you. And I never seen in my whole crypto content creator and investor career any bad things happening to me or to other women in this space. So I do think it's very friendly. I would say it's the friendliest and the most community driven space in the world, because I've never seen any space like this. So yeah, I'm very positive about that. Maybe ladies, you have something to add.
If I can chip in, I think when we talk about Web3, there are two narratives, right? One of them is that women are completely absent in Web3, which I would disagree. But the other narrative that's very important is that women are mostly entering the Web3 industry through community or marketing roles, right? And there is where, for example, women like me are looking at, first of all, portraying all the opportunities that exist, right? And then saying, okay, all of these spaces required women because the table becomes stronger when women are at the table, right? And that when, if you really look closely, there are women, for example, right now building infrastructure. I'm one of them, leading funds, women writing protocol code, regulatory frameworks. The biggest challenge I see is the visibility and the opportunity to access this visibility spaces, where I would say most of the or the most notorious contributors in this space are mostly focused on building at the moment. And women don't promote themselves the same way as men do. So I believe what is needed from the industry, if the industry was asking me this question, is that we have a lot more of recognition for the women investors, the builders, the strategic operators in the ecosystems, because I do think all of this space slowly are being populated by women, but we need to strengthen the public narrative. That's what we need to strengthen, in my opinion. Women are there, and I think those of us who are there, especially the ones building, we are just a bit too quiet. So we need a little bit of that pump and support of the recognition from the industry.
Yeah,
I think so. I think my the way I see it is that not that they're misrepresented, is that there is lack of representation, in the sense that they're maybe not as vocal or as public. And then the representation that comes out is the content creators, and that's one area. But then that looks like it's overpowering, but that's because it's their job to take up mind space in the public space. But all the other women that are building quietly are just not represented. So it's not that they're misrepresented. I don't think anybody is trying to give them a bad rep or a different kind of rep. It's just like any other industry, because I work with founders and I try to make them understand the importance of personal brand. I think maybe more men are catching on and getting on stages and doing this and maybe taking up more space in the public eye. But I think we need to make a little bit more room, or maybe encourage women as they see more representation of things that are slightly different than marketing and content creation. Like Anna is saying, if they see more women leading funds and more women being the tech lead of a project and speaking as the tech lead of a project, then it makes other women more comfortable to take up that space. And I think that's what's missing. So
yeah,
the quantity.
If I can add a point here, I think there is a big responsibility on this visibility point from event organizers, where they should do a better research and make sure that there is a little bit more of diversity and representation in panels. Because whenever you go to a Web3 event, what you get to find is that, you know, maybe 1 out of 10 panels has one woman sitting at the panel, and it's usually not a technical person, or is not somebody that's leading at any level of the operation. It's usually maybe a marketing person, but the builders are there, the leads are there. So I think from that perspective is where the industry needs to do a better research, a better job at creating the right platforms for women to be represented and to be committed to this, you know, to be committed as an industry to ensure that we open the spaces to highlight what women are doing in the industry. But obviously never as a women's only panel, because for me that is like a subcategory. And we don't need that. We are a peer-to-peer level situation. So I think what we need is just the right kind of spaces within the current ecosystems.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I actually just experienced this because I'm attending a big European conference this month, and I was applying to be a part of the panel, and they sent me a form to be a part of the panel of women's something, I don't know, panel talk. I'm like, I can
Yes.
talk about anything, not only with women about, I don't know, shoes or whatever, marketing and crypto. I can talk about trading, investing, other stuff, maybe building a little bit also. Because I'm in this space, I can give advices to people who are building in terms of marketing perspective. And they gave me the form to participate in the women's only panel. I'm like, oh, thank you.
I have an unpopular opinion about women's panels. Okay, because I did a women panel in Toronto during ETH, what is it, a futurist conference, ETH Toronto, and I think both should exist because when it was a women-only panel, the audience was women only, and it was so beautiful to see how they felt safe to come and see the wide range. And it was me who leads an investor network, and then there was this other girl who was more technical, and then there was actually barely any it was actually the title was women CEOs. So already the standard was set. And then there's women in the room that came and they were like, oh, I only came for this talk because I knew it felt good to see women who are doing things that we don't see normally. So I think women panels have their reason to be and serve a very important purpose. But also, yeah, the fact that they would directly only ascribe you to that one is kind of, it's not, there's work to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also have to think of how many women-only panels can exist in one event, right? Let's say if we are talking about token, right? How many women panels can exist in the whole event? Maybe one. So what are you saying, right? If we are just, I think it's good to have it, but it should not be the only space. I think what we need to see is a stage where women are, I'm not asking for a 50-50 representation, but what I'm saying is if you know that the topic has women leaders who are relevant, or actually if you don't know, what you need to do as an events company, as an event producer, is to do a deeper research, right? Because the women are there, the women exist, and they are world class. So we just need to create the right platforms, and we just need to be committed to highlight this talent.
100%.
If I can add from an event organizer perspective, I had a very clear bias towards women. When we get in our investor events, we get about between 1,000 to 3,000 people apply. And the person who does the curation to find the best founders to match with the investors, I gave them a clear bias. I was like, we are biased towards women. I am not even ashamed of it, because I think women have less, they're a little less bold. You'll have men applying with an idea, and then another woman has traction and this, and still feel like she doesn't belong or she shouldn't knock at that door. So we have at Fractal, we have a very official bias towards women when we're filtering the room, and we still struggle to get women in the room. So there's two things. There's the organizers have to go out of their way a little bit to invite women, but I think there's something in the culture where I try to encourage women, be like, yes, apply, go. I'm pretty sure if we looked at the numbers of how many women apply to speak versus how many men who are less qualified who apply to speak, we would find a really big difference. So I think there's also a culture thing that we can help nurture and encourage more women to be as bold as, Chad. So I think there's work to be done on our side too. And I think having spaces like this is very useful to do that, because more women are going to watch and more women are going to be like, oh, this person is leading a fund and a tech company. This person is an investor herself and unapologetically creates really high quality content. Oh, this person. So I think this encourages that, but there's definitely work to do on our side, even as women, to be more bold than what we think we're qualified for.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome role models. I'm going to move on to the next question. All right, here we go. This one, would a women-led Web3 community lead to broader demographics entering? Adoption question.
I think so. I got in this space from a women community of like this one ecosystem that invited women to ETH Denver, and I felt safe my first time at a conference, and I haven't stopped going, and I felt like I belonged from that point on. So in my personal experience, I thought it was very, very useful to lower the barrier to entry and how intimidating the space would have felt otherwise.
So I can talk to you from a perspective of being the founder of the Women in Investment Network, where we are not only women, right? And as the Mint Layer co-founder, where at Mint Layer we have the commitment of having 50% of women in our team, which it's a very solid commitment we have from the blockchain industry, right? And I would say this doesn't make a difference from gender alone. I think communities grow when people feel legitimate, a legitimate pathway to participate and to create value. I think representation for me is not having just the same amount of women in the room, is having the pathway to create value at the same level, right? And I think when you look at women-led initiatives, sometimes I'm a little bit scared of them because they tend to be perceived as a tea party, or they tend to be perceived as less business-driven. And from the Women Investment Network, for example, we worked specifically in this particular because we wanted to make sure that we are talking about networks of powerful individuals that are creating ecosystems, right? And that includes obviously entrepreneurs, professionals from traditional industries, not only from Web3. And always you have to look at investors. Investors are always looking at opportunities where these pathways can be solid. Why? Because when you create and when you leverage, okay, diversity to create multiple pathways, adoption becomes easier, adoption becomes friendlier, and becomes, I would say, a more natural process of adoption, right? The result is more than just women being adopting a new technology or being part of a new network. It's mostly, I would say, as impact is to see a broader and more diverse economic ecosystem, right? And I think this is very healthy when it comes to Web3, because we are talking about decentralizing, right? And when we talk about decentralization, we are talking about systems that become stronger when the participation is wider and global. And we cannot be advocating for decentralization if we don't create pathways for collaboration and creation of value from the women's side.
I love that.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. Nothing to add.
Well, from my perspective, because I create content and I see my analytics, and I do see that, unfortunately, or it is what it is, but I have 90% men viewers across all my platforms, Instagram, YouTube. Like, why I started recently create more women oriented plus invest in fun content, maybe just to bring more ladies audience to my social media platforms, because I'm not someone who is talking very technical language or something like that. So I do welcome a lot of ladies. Please, if you are watching this live stream right now, go join our social media platforms, follow us, talk to us, DM us. We would love to invite you to this space. It's not something scary. It's not something super complicated. And please, ladies, welcome. Join us more.
I don't think it's even particular to Web3, because I think the representation is very important because when I had to choose my degree when I was in university, I wanted to do chemical engineering. And then I went and I visited the chemical engineering, as from a science background, the chemical engineering department at the university, and it was all men. And I was like, no. So I ended up doing microbiology because that's where the women were. And I was like, I don't want to spend 4 years with just men. It was intimidating. So I thought maybe it's not for me. So even then, it was a very traditional path. But even as a scientist, I went for the one where there were more women. And I'm glad because I met all my best friends in university. So I'm glad. It was like, for me, it was also socially more welcoming. So I don't think it's particular to Web3. I think wherever there's representation, women are more people will feel more welcome where people look like them, and it's not just women, and it's not just Web3. So we're doing the thing to do representation now, and we're moving this forward, hopefully.
Awesome, wonderful. All right, moving on to the next question. Have you ever felt underestimated as a woman in the Web3 industry? And how did you deal with the situation?
Nice. Can I go? It doesn't happen to me very often because people know me. If you're fundraising and you're going to conferences, you know me, you know I'm the founder of Fractal, and it's not a big deal. But people who are new, and they assume that I work for Fractal instead of I'm the founder of Fractal. They like ask me who the man in charge is, type thing. And I don't mind because I'm exiting from this business. So the less my name is associated with the brand, the better it is. So like in this case, it works for me where I'm just like, yeah, no, I just work here. So also I can't let you into this event. I'm just the girl. I'm just the PR manager. But yeah, it happens in this because I host very, very high level investor events, but also it's a very close community in the sense that everybody knows each other, so they know who I am. But when there's a new person, they will automatically assume I'm the event manager or the thing. And I think it's funny. Yeah, I'm okay. I think it's funny, but yeah, I wouldn't think it's that funny maybe if I wasn't the founder and like somebody was giving me a different status, it would be annoying. But in my goal to exit from this company, I'm like, I'm okay with it, bro.
That's it. Well, interesting experience.
Exactly.
I think for anyone that's operating in emerging industries, the experience would tend to be to go through people that underestimate us. But I see it as a temporary advantage. For me, what's a recurrent kind of experience is I go to investor meetups and very top level investor meetups where eventually we are maybe 5 women in the whole room, in a room of 300. And most of them, sadly, are their somebody's wife or assistant or the marketing person working in the team of that particular investor. So usually what happens to me is I'm being assumed as somebody's wife, right? Rather than an investor or rather than, a founder, a co-founder. And that's a very interesting thing because when I was younger, I used to be offended by this, but I think I grew thicker skin, and after that, I started leveraging on this confusion and just plain dumb sometimes because it's fun to hear what the boys at the table say when they think they dominate the discussion and they know a lot more than you do, right? And then what I do now is maybe I let go for 1-2 hours, and then after that, I intervene in the conversation with a very particular, point. And they kind of understand who is at the table with them, right?
Who's the big dog?
I think,
and it's Anna. It's always Anna.
It's very normal, It's really interesting because it's always this question: are you here with your husband? And it's kind of cute.
Yeah, it's cute.
That assumption. Oh gosh, I
Yeah.
learned not to make assumptions at my age. Never.
I have learned to never enter a networking event with a man. Because even if
Absolutely.
oh my God, immediately it shifts the attention, especially in the Middle East. I've actually mostly noticed that in the Middle East. If I walk into an event with a man, they will literally only talk to him, not even introduce.
Yes.
I went to an event with another exchange, an event by another exchange, and I was supposed to meet the marketing lead because we have a campaign going together. And I walked in with a guy that I met at an event before, and he was like, "Oh, I want to learn more about crypto. You seem to know everybody. Can I come? Can I just tag along?" This is a guy I met 30 minutes ago that's tagging along, right? I enter this meeting. Every single person introduced themselves to him as if he was the
Yes.
main guy, and then waited for his permission to address me. And I'm like, "Hi, I'm Reem. I'm the founder of Fractal. I'm here to meet you." And then they start talking to him. This guy knows nothing about crypto, but he is assumed to be the main character, and I'm the
Yes.
accessory. And that has been a little bit frustrating, but then I just learned to not enter a room with a man because that
Wow.
shifts the entire perspective. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. That's why I'm always alone, you know. I never go with anyone. I mean,
Yeah.
I do have friends also from this space, obviously, especially in Dubai, but I'm usually alone and I never had this experience. Well, I don't know why, but yeah, fortunately,
Maybe you instinctively knew these things, and I had to learn the hard way.
I don't know. I'm just, you know, straightforward. I'm there to introduce myself first, to talk with people, and yeah, I never. Well, I will remember that. I will never take any man with me if I will go.
You're doing it right. It's working for you.
Sorry, we love men, but you see.
Awesome,
Okay.
wonderful. Let's move on to the next question here. Is there more pressure on women to quote unquote prove technical competence in, say, the Web3 industry?
And maybe
Well,
not just
I
Web3.
think yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I think yes. And I don't think, again, you're right. I don't think it's just on Web3. I think in technology sectors across the board, we always have this expectation that the expertise comes from technical depth, right? But then you have to understand that one thing is to have the technical depth, and the other thing is to be able to articulate technical depth. And this is a complete different game.
Scale.
Because you have a lot of women with absolute technical depth who are just not making it a point to come forward and articulate their expertise, or they just don't feel comfortable. And what I see, for example, is in Web3 as an ecosystem, we have a lot of different forms of expertise, which is another thing that we need to consider. Expertise is not just sitting and coding and building the blockchain, because maybe, let's say, I did learn that, but that's not my core right now, and that's not my core contribution right now, right? So if you're just going to judge me for how well I can build a blockchain, maybe that's not the topic where we want to go, right? But when we look at technology, for example, I think we are looking at areas like technology, finance, governance, regulation, product design, user experience, community architectures. All of this plays a fundamental role, right? And only having a technical depth that's super focused on a particular point, I don't think it's also building extreme credibility. I think what Reem mentioned earlier, that women come forward with more difficulty because they don't feel they are ready. I think this is true. I do think also women are being not forced, but are being expected to present a lot more of credibility than men do. And because perhaps we are not part of a lot of the circles that are informal circles where the boys know what we are doing, right? So we have to come with a lot more of credibility. And we need to prove the trajectory that we've been walking, right? So I think, the real question is not for me whether women have to compensate or have to prove more technical competence. For me, the real question would be whether we are encouraging women to enter all the layers of the ecosystem, right? And once we are inviting them in all the different layers of the ecosystem, from, let's say, protocol to capital, right, and even institutional adoption, then we can say, okay, yes, definitely women require more credibility or not when it comes to technical depth. But until we open all those pathways in a more natural manner, I don't think we will answer correctly this question. What I see right now is that, yes, women feel more apprehensive to come forward. That I definitely agree. But again, in Web3, the space is too big to focus when we talk about technical depth in just one particular. We need to look at the universal.
Maria, I'd be curious to know if that has shaped the way you make content. This proving that you are technical to. I'm
don't
really
make
curious.
content.
I feel.
I don't make content.
Maria, no, Maria's a content creator.
Yeah. But
I wonder
Anna,
if that's
your content is also great on Instagram. I follow you. Your content is very educational. So thank you so much for doing it. And as I told you, we have we have a lot of plans in the future because, currently I'm not in Dubai, but when I will be back to Dubai, we will start doing a lot of podcasts with women. So yeah, your ladies are welcome to join. So yeah, from my perspective, I would just, say a quick message to all the projects and platforms and whoever they are in Web3 and blockchain space. Please don't be afraid to hire more women, to listen to them, 100%. What they need, to push them also. Why you guys so conservative? I would say don't be afraid to do that. It's so cool because we are cool, aren't we?
Absolutely.
I love that. I think one of the things that Anna said that is it's so much broader than technical expertise. I was at the Satoshi Roundtable, and there was a very, very technical guy that was trying to ask a question to the moderator of one of the sessions. And the guy repeated his question 3 times, and then I translated. I was like, what he's asking is this, and that. And then people are like, oh, okay. And they're like, how did you understand that? I was like, I translate tech bros for a living. That's literally what I do. I take very complex things and I make them digestible. So
this is
all that
cool.
Actually a skill that is extremely important in business, right? So you can have all the technical knowledge. If you can't translate, most investors are not technical. They're not. Like, most investors are not technical. So if the thing you sit on as the hill that you're proud of is that you're very technical, and that's why you keep women away, but then it keeps you from getting the funding because nobody you're talking to is as technical as you. Like, what's the percentage of tech bros that exit and have money to reinvest, that like launch venture studios or launch VC firms? It's a very small percentage. Most people who invest come from other fields, come from generational wealth, come from places where they will never understand how technical your product is. So to put so much emphasis on the technical skill as if it's the most valuable one in the space, in the blockchain space, is actually very, very unrealistic. And I don't think it moves the space forward as much as giving space to other skill sets that are ones that women are usually a lot better at, like the social skills and understanding everyone in a room and making sense of multiple different, the technical and the non-technical. So yeah, I think there's just not enough understanding of what it takes to build a successful company. And that's why they think the technical is more important. I don't think it is, from my experience and the space that I'm in.
I think it also depends on what do we define as technical. Because deep financial analysis okay, or deep financial structuring could be extremely technical.
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying, until we have women in across all the layers, right, we can't just talk technical, because it assumes immediately that we are talking about coding and writing code. And writing code is not the only technical skill that is required for running what we do, right? So that's where I think when we talk competence and technical skills, we need to define across which industries and which parameters.
True. I just did that. I just assumed. And it's so true. Everything else is also very technical.
Yeah.
But we right away go to coding and blockchain development. Yeah.
That was my presumption too when I picked this question out of the committee.
Yeah, sorry, I'm part of the problem.
Well, count me in.
I have a lot to work on.
I did not say that.
No, I admit it. I can understand. I can admit my flaws.
The last question of the live stream. For women who are new to the Web3 industry, what is the one advice you give them?
Ladies?
I do have advice. I do have advice. And again, I'm looking at things from a global perspective. I'm not looking at it only from the technical aspect. I would say one of the most important things I would tell any woman looking at entering Web3 is to first and foremost look at this as a very serious industry, to be curious, of course, but to look at it as a very serious industry, as a very serious financial and technological field. This is not a trend. Web3 is not a fad. We have crossed already the time of considering that Web3 blockchain crypto is just a fad and is something that in 10 years will be dead, as many used to say, and now are adopting at an institutional level. I shall not name them, but obviously when you need to make a decision, you need to take the time to understand the fundamentals, right? You need to learn how a blockchain works, how tokenomics function, and most importantly, how value is created across the centralized systems, right? You need to focus on understanding that if you're looking at Web3, you're looking most likely at the future infrastructure of finance. So this is extremely serious. This is not just a party place. Yes, we do things a little bit different, and we used to do things a little bit different, especially when the focus was a lot more on retail. But now that we are shifting on an institutional trend, things are getting more and more serious. So I would say we need to look at this as a very serious industry, as a very important opportunity towards the future of the financial and technological industries working together, right? And I think what's very important on Web3 is that not only you have a lot of curiosity, because this is a new industry, but also that you come open with the idea of creating value. This is not an industry that you approach on what is it in it for me. Because if you go, what's in it for me, you have a very short-term vision and a very short-term or a very short range, right, of what you can do in Web3. If you come to give, if you come to learn, opportunities are endless.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Anna, you're always, on point. So I would add a little bit that definitely, ladies, don't treat it as a trend. It's a multi-trillion-dollar space. Come on, guys, what are we talking about? It's not just a joke or something. It's not even fashion or something, you know. This is a serious financial space, but also don't be afraid of this. Like, oh, I will not go there because it's only man-driven, and this is a serious financial space. I would never learn any technical skills and something that I need. Don't be afraid, because this space is different from all the other spaces in the world, and it's open to everyone. Again, you have to be very curious. You have to be ready to learn every single day, because this is what we also do. This technology evolves so fast, so we are growing with it together. And what was let's say trending, and what was a couple of years ago, we don't see it anymore now. So we have to be very curious, very ready to learn every single day. Also be absolutely without any fear, be ready for anything, because it's so fast, especially with the help of AI right now. So yeah, be open, don't be afraid, but also be ready to learn a lot and work hard, obviously. This is my point.
Yes, absolutely. I would add, love. I would have given that advice if I had thought about it. But the advice that I give is on the point of giving value and on it's a different space. I actually think what I think women who are looking from the outside think it's a completely different space, but at the end of the day, it's just a company. It's just a company selling to a user, a company selling a product being sold to an end user. And there are some concepts that will be the same across all industries. So the financial, if you're into financial engineering, you will bring those concepts and just adapt them to a younger industry with different financial models. But the skill set to understand it in TradFi versus DeFi is kind of the same. You just have to adapt the particulars of this. For marketing, the same. At the end of the day, humans are humans, right? They have the same basic needs, and you create community the same way you did in TradFi. You do it here. It's just here we had a phase or a wave where it was very, very highly financial gains driven, right? But the emotional triggers that make people want to be a part of a community are exactly the same. The triggers that make people want to purchase are the same, because humans are humans across products, across industries. So my advice would be to not underestimate the skills that you have at this moment and how they can be used to build a company. A chief of staff is the same in crypto as it is in a traditional field. So yeah, do not underestimate. Just because this product is slightly different, you will have to put in a little bit more time to understand the particulars of the space. Your skills are most likely 90% transferable, and it's just another industry. Be curious, be a little bit more open to the fact that it is a very young industry, so it changes fast, so you have to learn more. That's the difference. Otherwise, the skills you have right now are very valuable, and you just have to find where they fit in this space. So get in here. We need you. We need your skills over here. We actually need more professional skills over here, because the space was led by a bunch of kids who never worked in a professional environment before, and it shows. So kids that made way too much money too early on, never built a proper company. And now, as the space is maturing, we need people who have worked in more professional environments to bring this professionalism to the space. So please, please come over here. The opportunities are huge.
Awesome. Wonderful. That really wraps up our live stream. So make sure you guys follow everyone on X, on YouTube. Make sure you check out their social media platform, their content. Happy Women's Day. And thank you so much, guys, for making time today. Definitely stay safe. I think that's the one thing I'm going to say in this live stream. Just make sure you guys are, just stay safe. All right. We're going through a lot of conflicts lately. Yeah. That said, yeah, absolutely. And I'll see you guys possibly in some other live stream. If not, I'll see you guys in the next one.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies.
Ciao.
Lovely to see you.